Yeah, yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy, that dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Person's progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy, that dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. B-Eazy, that dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, B-Eazy, that dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy, that dude, in impromptu stream, back with another one. Now this one, I really won't be here for a long time, but a strong time. So I'm just going to get right into it. Forget the other introductions. Let's just get right into it. So y'all seen the title, y'all seen the thumbnail. The video that we will be reacting to is from the Reid show. Her and a person named Wajahat Ali will be interviewing, I think he is the House leader, Hakeem Jeffries. And this is just to show how pathetic the Democrats are, how feckless and how cowardly they are with many of their campaigns. So we just gonna get straight into the video because, like I said, I won't be here a long time, but a strong time. So if you want to watch the video uninterrupted, this will be on Reid's channel. This is an extremely long live, but I'm only just gonna get into the meat and potatoes so we can break down the cowardice of the Dem leaders, starting with Hakeem Jeffries. Let's get into it.
Representative Jeffries, but what do you make of how those three men held up under questioning and how the Democrats handled them?
Look, I'm very tough on the Democrats, but I'll give them credit where credit's due. I think they played hardball, as they should. They should be playing hardball, smash mouth football against DHS, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, and all these people. ICE has killed 2 Americans that we know of. Actually, ICE has killed more than 2 Americans, folks. ICE has murdered Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, covered up their murder. And if you saw, they did a small walk back because, as you've seen, Joy, this Trump administration plays with the Roy Cohn philosophy. You never apologize, right? You always fight. They said, one of the individuals said, you know, we could have been mistaken in referring to Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy as domestic terrorists, which is what Kristi Noem, our head of DHS, referred to Renee Nicole Good as her body was still warm, Joy. She said that she was a domestic terrorist who weaponized her car against Officer Ross. So the fact that they even gave you that much shows, oops, we've been making mistakes.
Yeah, they know that they're in trouble here and that they will eventually be held accountable. Let's go ahead and bring in the minority leader of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries. Thanks so much for being here.
Great to be with you.
So let's talk about that. The Department of Homeland Security's funding.
Hakeem Jeffries is a political stooge. When she says he's honorable to who? The corporate establishment and the Zios. That's about it.
affected, it runs out tomorrow. Now, just to be clear, for those in the chat, they will still have money because the big ugly bill funded ICE so that it is essentially funded better than most armies throughout the world. But the funding will officially run out. Democrats, and if Jason, you could put it up, have put up a set of demands that we've read on this show that seem entirely reasonable, demasking ICE, making them identify themselves, making them basically just act like regular law enforcement has to behave all over the country. Will the Democrats in the House, which you control that caucus, and do you believe Chuck Schumer will cause the Senate Democrats to hold firm on not giving them another dime until they do the things on this list?
Yeah, I believe we're going to continue to hold firm. And that's in fact why when the clock strikes midnight tonight, there will be a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security because the funding bill will lapse. Now, our view is pretty simple. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them, as was done in cold blood with respect to the killing of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, horrifying the American people. We know ICE is out of control. They've gone way too far. They need to be reined in. And our value proposition is that immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, it should be just, and it should be humane.
When they say ICE needs to be reined in, what the heck are they even talking about? Because even if they abolish ICE, they'll just have another agency, i.e. DHS and INS, who's going to do the deportations. So like I said, many people, they support deportations. They just want it done in a more sanitized, cuter, cuddlier fashion, right? So what exactly are they proposing? Okay, they defund ICE. They take money from ICE. ICE right now, I believe Trump offered them 38 billion. So if they defund them and say, you know what, we're going to cut their budget by 8 billion. Yeah, that still leaves 30 billion. So even just the whole defunding them is super vague. It's supposed to be a buzzword and a bumper sticker that you really don't have any nuance or details on.
Donald Trump promised to target violent felons who are here in the country illegally, but that's not what's happening. And that's why our view is that dramatic, bold, meaningful, transformational changes must occur in terms of the manner in which ICE conducts itself via statutory and legislative change that is ironclad. And absent that, DHS, in terms of the funding bill, is not moving forward.
Well, before I let Wajahat, I know he has lots of questions for you too, but you said dramatic, bold change. When my mother became a United States citizen in 1976, took her 16 years to get her citizenship, there was no ICE. There was just the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It worked perfectly well for her. ICE only exists because of the 9/11 attacks, right? The Department of Homeland Security only exists because of the 9/11 attacks. We exist.
Joy, I know your mom is an immigrant and you have an immigrant background, but this isn't about you and your mom and INS working good for your mom. This is about them flooding the border with millions and millions and millions. And you're talking about your mommy and daddy. That's two people. That's not millions of people. So she's saying abolish ICE because there was no ICE when my mom came here. And it worked fine for her. Yeah, when your mom came here, she didn't come in here running through the border with millions and tens of millions of other people as well. So as much as these people, okay, they want to shut down ICE, but there still will be INS. There still will be DHS. Deportations will still go on. So if deportations are still going to go on, why are they trying to abolish ICE again? Because they think ICE is some rogue agency? No, ICE is just an agency full of employees who are taking orders. They're soldiers, right? If there's a war, are you blaming the soldiers in the army or the people who are giving those soldiers orders? ICE is an enforcement arm, immigration enforcement arm. They're enforcing the law based on the orders they've been given. Now, you can say that they're sloppy, they're incompetent. That's another story, but they are carrying out orders. What do they like to say? This is a nation of laws, okay, where they're carrying out orders to uphold the law. Could it get messy? Yes, but we already told you that law enforcement is extremely sloppy. Some of them are incompetent, and many of them are irresponsible. ICE are just another form of police. Notice how they keep making ICE as the big bad boogeyman, but somehow other police are good. So we'll abolish ICE, and then what? Police brutality will cease to exist. Notice that they only care about how immigrants are being treated. Citizens are being treated worse by police, but who cares? What Biden say? I don't want to defund the police. I want to refund the police. But then they want to defund and abolish ICE. Don't abolish the police because we love police and we need them, but abolish ICE because we don't need them, even though it's reported upwards of 20 million people cross the border illegally. But no, we don't need ICE, but we do need police. Those immigrants are being dropped in some neighborhood. If many of them are undocumented, they will have to turn to the informal economy. First of all, working under the table, stagnating wages, right? But then the other ones who can't get work because they don't have the proper documentation, they will turn to the informal economy, selling foods without permits, selling a little bit of cooch and derriere on the side, right? I'm not judging because I know you got to get it how you live, but why are we pretending as if this is not a reality? But this is what both parties want, a political football to kick back and forth.
Enforcement in this country should be fair, it should be just, and it should be humane. Donald Trump promised to target violent felons who are here in the country illegally, but that's not what's happening. And that's why our view is that dramatic, bold, meaningful, transformational changes must occur in terms of the manner in which ICE conducts itself via statutory and legislative change that is ironclad, and absent that, DHS, in terms of the funding bill, is not moving forward.
Well, before I let Wajahat, I know he has lots of questions for you too, but you said dramatic, bold change. When my mother became a United States citizen in 1976, took her 16 years to get her citizenship, there was no ICE. There was just the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It worked perfectly well for her. ICE only exists because...
So Joy Reid said her mom took 16 years to get her citizenship, right? This is kind of the norm. This is why some people say, hey, we don't want to do things the right, the just, and the legal way, because look how long it takes to get citizenship. When you cross the border, you see people like Biden will expedite citizenship or at least temporary protected status. So if you are an immigrant and you're thinking, I would love to come the right way, but it takes 10 years, 16, 20 years to do it the right way. So let me just cross the border because they seem to be letting people in a more rapid pace, more urgently if you come illegally. They've incentivized and rewarded people who've come here illegally, right? It's supposed to be some level of punishment because it's a crime. People could say it's a petty crime, it's a misdemeanor, it's a crime, right? So they come over here and commit a crime. But people are saying, hey, well, it's not a big deal because we're a nation of immigrants. So everyone could just cross the border illegally, right? So the Democrats, the people that have been here 20 years, who they were saying, oh, my God, we love you. Instead of helping them people get a pathway to citizenship is what they like to talk about, right? They don't help them get a pathway to citizenship. They say, here's DACA, so you can be a dreamer. You can dream of citizenship, right? And then, oh yeah, pop out a bunch of babies because those babies will be citizens. You won't, but at least your babies will, right? So this is what the Democrats are pushing and act like, oh my God, we love immigrants so much. Why aren't you getting these people who's been here 20 years citizenship? Instead, there's just a new crop and they just flood the border over and over and over. Biden even said this. This is nothing new. This is no conspiracy theory or anything like that. Biden, Jerry Nadler, Chuck Schumer, they've been saying it right to your face. It's just people are trying to label anything as xenophobia And are you MAGA? You sound like a white supremacist. It's like, is it true or is it not? Is Biden a white supremacist? Because Biden is the one who said this. Biden is the one who said that it will be a good thing for the country to be flooded by immigrants. And especially they want to bury the black community because these immigrants come over here from largely underdeveloped, what they would call third world countries. So that's their reparations just being here, because they can always wag their finger and say, hey, we let you in the country. You don't want us to send you back to that shithole, do you? No, 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 amigo, please, please don't send me back. Right. So then they put their head in the sand and become a docile, buck broken minion, which is what the Dems and the elite establishment want. More subservient people who are not going to upset the apple cart and who the Dems don't really owe anything, right? They don't have a history of subjugating immigrants. They have a history of rolling out the red carpet, giving goodies, giveaways, and guarantees to immigrants, and then say, hey, why can't you do it? This person came over here with $2. Yeah, they came over here with $2, and then you handed them 20,000. Won't you tell the rest of the story? Anyone right now that's an American citizen, doesn't matter what state you're in New York, you're in California, you're in Arizona, and you say, damn, man, I'm kind of struggling. Let me get my life started. I only got $2 in my pocket. I'm going to move to Wyoming. I'm going to move to Utah. I'm going to move to Montana. Would anybody say that that's a great idea? And you go, girl, I support you. People be like, man, that's hella dumb. You only got $2 in your pocket. Why the hell are you moving to a different state? But somehow people are championing people that only have $2 allegedly in their pocket to cross a dangerous border to an entire different country. You're not going to a different state in your home country. You're going to an entire country, entering illegally and saying, no one is illegal on stolen land. I got $2 in my pocket. Help me. Okay. And we're just supposed to just come one, come all. Give us your sick, your tired, your poor. And all of these countries that are coming over here, when you look at their immigration policy, borders are shut tight. They don't let people just waltz in, and they don't have a robust social safety net either. So why are we fighting for the globe again? Is this Earth first or America first? Don't get me wrong. I'm a humanitarian. I want to help people from all stripes, all ethnic and racial backgrounds, different cultures and countries. You have to help your family first, your country first. If the plane is crashing and your neighbor is sitting next to you and your best friend is sitting next to you, they instruct you to put the mask on yourself first. They don't say, oh, well, I know you've been friends with this person for 20 years, so put the mask on them first. No. Self-preservation is the number one rule in life. I need to preserve myself so I have enough stability, wherewithal, and sustenance to help provide for you. Charity starts at home.
And our value proposition is that immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, it should be just, and it should be humane. Donald Trump promised to target violent felons who are here in the country illegally, but that's not what's happening. And that's why our view is that dramatic, bold, meaningful, transformational changes must occur in terms of the manner in which ICE conducts itself via statutory and legislative change that is ironclad. And absent that, DHS, in terms of the funding bill, is not.
This is a bunch of word salad, incoherent, bloviating, driveling blather. What the hell is he talking about? He's just saying a bunch of buzzwords, but could y'all really decipher what he's saying? He's not really saying anything. He's using a bunch of words to not really say much at all. This is a politician for you.
Enforcement in this country should be fair, it should be just, and it should be humane. Donald Trump promised to target violent felons who are here in the country illegally, but that's not what's happening. And that's why our view is that dramatic, bold, meaningful, transformational changes must occur in terms of the manner in which ICE conducts itself via statutory and legislative change that is ironclad, and absent that, DHS, in terms of the funding bill, is not moving forward.
Well, before I let Wajahat, I know he has lots of questions for you too, but you said dramatic, bold change. When my mother became a United States citizen in 1976, took her 16 years to get her citizenship, there was no ICE. There was just the Immigration and Naturalization Service. It worked perfectly well for her. ICE only exists because of the 9/11 attacks, right? The Department of Homeland Security only exists because of the 9/11 attacks. We existed for 200 years as a country without either of them. It wouldn't the boldest possible move be to say, when that funding runs out, this entire agency shrivels up and goes away, and ICE becomes not just defunded, but it meets its demise?
Well, I think, as you pointed out, with respect to the one big ugly bill, which is a whole different battle that needs to be waged, you're talking about $191 billion slush fund that Republicans exclusively, not a single Democrat, voted for the one big ugly bill in the House and the Senate, was given to DHS, $75 billion of that going to ICE. At the same time, when they enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history and ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans by cutting SNAP.
And shout out to the people viewing this live concurrently and that will be watching this on the replay. Y'all could be anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. For that, I thank you. And I got to give a shout out to the Florida fam. Sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond in the building. Now, I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. I can't stomach too much more of this lies, bluster, and obfuscation, but I just want to play a little bit, come in and tap in with the people. So, the algorithm can do what it do, and I can engage with the people who have been supporting me. But I just want to show you some of the Democrats' cowardice and incompetence. They have a base of people that are demanding certain things from them, but they're ignoring their base to do whatever the donors want. I actually support the deportations. I support them making the pathway to citizenship much more easier, but I do support deportations, of people who are here unauthorized. Now, they can deport or they can self-deport, and then there should be pathways to citizenship that are easier. But if you just reward people for coming in the country by illegal means, it's just going to be a nonstop influx of people crossing the border illegally, which is what the Democrats actually want. Both parties want that. They just use the Democrats to say, look, the Democrats want open borders. Yeah, the Republicans do too, because you're not really doing anything about it. But let's get back into the video.
But it meets its demise.
Well, I think, as you pointed out, with respect to the one big ugly bill, which is a whole different battle that needs to be waged, you're talking about $191 billion slush fund that Republicans exclusively, not a single Democrat, voted for the one big ugly bill in the House and the Senate, was given to DHS, $75 billion of that going to ICE. At the same time, when they enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history and ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans by cutting SNAP by $186 billion, largest cut to SNAP in American history. We all opposed it. All of that needs to be addressed as we move forward. It's one of the reasons why, of course, we need to take back control of the House of Representatives and hopefully the Senate as well, so that we have the gavels to be able to address the abuse and misuse of taxpayer dollars. In terms of the fight that's in front of us, right, that will be in front of us for the next few days, next few weeks, next few months, depending on how long Republicans continue to insist on them preferring to shut down FEMA, shut down the TSA, or shut down the Coast Guard, as opposed to making the type of dramatic changes that are necessary. The question that I'm asking is, how can we save American lives now? How can we stop the violent targeting of law-abiding immigrant families now? How can we stop the abuse that is taking place, the targeting of sensitive locations like schools and hospitals and houses of worship and, of course, polling sites now? And how can we stop ICE agents from behaving with violent impunity?
But
Now,
wouldn't it stop them if they just stopped being an agency? Just abolish ICE.
but I don't know what you're suggesting in terms of the funding
let the
fight that's in
funding
front of us. Now,
dry up and
what we're
never bring it
with the
back.
one big ugly, but what we're trying to achieve, for instance,
Why is bro stuttering so hard? This is what you get when a word salad. This ain't just word salad. This is word pasta with extra sauce on it. All of this stuff is he's saying is essentially, hey, Republicans bad, vote us in office so we can what? He hasn't really said what they're gonna do. They're doing vague words. We're gonna fight for the people, and do what? We're just going to keep fighting and make sure that people live under a fair democracy. Huh? Like the shit doesn't even make any sense. He's doing all of these vague runarounds, but won't tell you specifically what the Dems are going to do if they get power. All they're going to do is say, hey, look, Trump was bad. We're not Trump. Vote us in. Vote blue no matter who. Okay.
But
now,
wouldn't it stop them if they just stopped being an agency? Just abolish ICE.
but I don't know what you're suggesting in terms of the funding
let the
fight that's in
funding
front of us. Now,
dry up and
what we're
never bring it
with the
back.
one big ugly, but what we're trying to achieve, for instance, I think the most significant thing.
Does he not know what abolish means? She said, so he knew what people meant when they said defund the police. Stop sloganizing, like Jim Clyburn said. He knew what people meant when they said abolish the police. And many people weren't saying that. There were some fringe activists and lefty lunatics saying that. But now when people are saying defund ICE, and no, they're taking it a step further and saying abolish ICE. Oh, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. You're a politician, bro. Didn't you go to a prestigious school and you don't know what abolish ICE means? But this is supposed to be the Democratic leadership, feckless and cowardly.
The abuse that is taking place, the targeting of sensitive locations like schools and hospitals and houses of worship, and of course, polling sites now. And how can we stop ICE agents from behaving with violent impunity?
But
now,
wouldn't it stop them if they just stopped being an agency? Just abolish ICE.
but I don't know what you're suggesting in terms of the funding
let the
fight that's in
funding
front of us. Now,
dry up and
what we're
never bring it
with the
back.
one big ugly, but what we're trying to achieve, for instance, I think the most significant thing that can be done amongst the whole list of things that we've talked about, right, substantively, is to ensure that when ICE agents violate the law, they can be criminally investigated and prosecuted and are not shielded by this principle of absolute immunity, which is one of the things that we've put on the table. And the reason why, just so that I'm clear, my thinking, that we see these people behaving the way they are behaving. It's not just the masks. And of course, we've demanded that the masks come down. It's the fact that they think that the Department of Justice, under Pam Bondi, who's a disgrace, will never investigate them. And if the Department of Justice does investigate them, they'll never charge them or convict them criminally. And even if they are charged and convicted criminally, Donald Trump will eventually pardon.
What cops are Democrats charging and convicting? They don't. It has to be some severe situation like a George Floyd situation. And even then there's pushback to say, hey, you're demonizing cops. So this dude is framing it as if that the Democrats have a history of locking up law enforcement officers. They don't. But they don't care about law enforcement running amok, but they do care about ICE. Why are people pretending as if ICE is just this rogue Gestapo agency? It's not. And even if it was a Gestapo agency, guess who trained, influenced, and inspired the Gestapo? That would be Americans.
Pardon them. That's the only rational explanation for why people would engage in such blatant violence and break the law repeatedly.
So
What-
right, and so
sorry.
sir, if I could just say, if they're
Go on.
willing to break the law of that, and they act with so much impunity, is this an agency that can even be reformed? It seems to me that ICE structurally is so flawed that it would perhaps make more sense to end this agency rather than tinker with it.
Notice how Joy Reid, Wajahat, or Hakeem Jeffries is not talking about ending qualified immunity. Abolish ICE. Oh my God. ICE is such these big bad boogeymen. No, they're not. So if ICE is the boogeyman, what does that make these rogue police? Have you heard of a jump out boy? A jump out boy is not an ICE agent. It's a police officer jumped out in plain clothes with a mask on. If you try to beat up that cop because he had a mask on and you didn't know that he was a police officer and they didn't immediately identify themselves, you're going to jail and for a long time. And you can't say, oh, I didn't know it was a cop. He had on a mask on. They're saying, oh, well, it was a law enforcement officer. You should have known better. How could I know he had on a mask in plain clothes? But meanwhile, with the ICE agency, it's like, we don't know who they are. Okay, they have these ICE agents in militant weapon and advanced weaponry, long rifles and things like that. You could assume that if they're not ICE, they're with some enforcement arm. And if they're not, then why the hell are you around people, masked people with guns? If I see a masked person with a gun and I don't know who it is, I'm going the other way, especially if I don't have a gun. Instead, these people are seeing masked people with guns running up to them saying, F ICE, abolish ICE. Then they get hit with a chemical agent and saying, oh my God, we're victims. Yeah, ICE shouldn't be doing this barbaric rogue behavior, but they're an enforcement arm. This is what law enforcement does. They are police officers. They are the immigration police. If you think they're not police officers, then why are they having a battery been put in their back, giving them billions and billions? What do you think those billions are going to? For them to do more enforcement, more policing. How are they policing? With heavy artillery. How is that not police again? Just because they go by a different name? They're even giving the IRS agents guns. So if an IRS agent shows up to your house and has a firearm and you beat the crap out of that IRS agent, they're going to treat it as if you assaulted an law enforcement officer.
You see what I mean?
What I'm suggesting is that the type of changes that give us the best chance to end the violence now by putting the pressure on the Republicans, because of course, anything that passes now is going to require Republican votes, just a handful in the House and in the Senate, to do the right thing for the American people. And giving state attorney generals, for instance, like Keith Ellison or Tish James, the ability to criminally investigate or prosecute ICE agents who break the law and engage in violence is perhaps one of the more immediate ways under the Trump administration. He's the president right now. Republicans control the House and the Senate. It's one of the most immediate ways that we can give the country the best chance to end the brutality and the violence that is being engaged in with impunity.
Representative, may I?
Yes.
I'm going to give you some numbers. Just today.
So again, he's talking about ending the alleged brutality from ICE agents. Not every immigrant is just running around getting their head bashed in. That's not what's happening, right? We've seen far worse with stop and frisk, but they don't want to end that brutality. They don't want to end the over policing of Black communities, the harsher sentences for the same crime. They don't want to end that. But we need to end the rogue agency that's called ICE. ICE is just human beings carrying out orders from their superior officers, right? This isn't an ICE problem. This is an American problem, right? America is leaning towards a nanny state and a police state. We're already in the nanny surveillance state, and it's just getting worse by the day, right? And we're leading towards a police state because they always frame things. It's going to be BLM burning down cities and George Floyd. They frame it like that. So everybody is like, oh, okay, cool. Like, give the police more money. Now the police, this isn't even the actual police arm. This is the immigration arm, and people are saying that they're too rogue. If the immigration police is doing this, what do you think that the jump out boy police are doing in the hood? You think they're giving everyone due process, which seems to be the word of the month? Due process, due process. How many black people were locked up and didn't receive due process? They were actual citizens. Non-citizens are being treated with much more care, much more compassion than citizens of all ethnic backgrounds. But hey, we're a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. Huh? What the hell does that have to do with police brutality, right? So they're supposed to desensitize you to this whole immigration thing so you don't focus on the citizens being mistreated. All of your bleeding heart and tears goes to immigrants. Oh my God, the poor immigrants. I don't want anyone being abused or mistreated. But if you turn a blind eye to the pain and the plight of my community, I have to keep the same energy and apply the same logic. I don't want to see anyone getting hurt. But if you don't give a flying flip about what's happening to my community, you can't then turn around and say, you should be protesting against the barbarism of ICE. Nah, I'ma just let everyone else hold their own nuts, just like they told us. Get over it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Stop begging. Stop crying and complaining. All right, that's what I'll do. And you do the same. Even deal, right?
It came out that ICE is using $38 billion to convert warehouses into camps. I'm going to call them concentration camps. Your colleague, Representative Raskin, went to one just yesterday in Maryland and said there were 60 people cramped like sardines in one room who only had access to one toilet. 65% of people taken by ICE had no convictions. That's from the Cato Institute, a right-wing institute. ICE has killed 8 people this year alone that we know of. 2 of them, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Pretty. The latest polls came out this week, AP polls. Over 60%.
How many people have law enforcement killed? How many people have been killed inside of the prison? Just last year, it was multiple prison guards beating the crap out of a black dude to death. Did the Democrats make an outrage or a big stink about it? No, because he was black and he was an American citizen, so they don't care.
Percent of Americans now disapprove of ICE. That means in 3 weeks, it's gone from 30% to 60%. Now, if I may, I'm going to be a bit blunt here. Leaders lead. And what we've seen is people are impressionable. If you lead on something, people will follow. It seems the wind is behind your back for the first time ever. ICE has a history. CPP has a history of terrorizing black and brown communities. People are asking themselves, why are we, our taxpayer dollars, paying for masked, lawless men to terrorize our communities, kidnap people, take children, and kill Americans? So I ask you, and I'm doing a following up to Joy, because I want an answer to this. You said you want to rein in ICE. I'm talking about the long term now. Why not lead and say abolish ICE? Because what you're telling us is you want our taxpayer dollars to pay for a lawless masked armed agency to continue terrorizing our cities. And I'm trying to figure out how you, as a leader, can be telling Americans that their taxpayer dollars should be going to ICE.
I don't understand anything that you just said. I don't understand anything that you've just said to me when I've made clear that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight right now. That's the whole reason the DHS is getting ready to shut down. That's
so
the whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
you agree with me and Joy. Abolish ICE.
Listen, I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use. And the language that I'm using right now relates to these.
Why is bro getting so uptight? And shout out to the lovely Jackie Gaines. I'm about to get ready to shut her down. I kind of got a hard stop today because I got to head out. I told you I wasn't going to be here for a strong time. I mean, for a long time, but a strong time. And what is this dude getting so pissed for? All he asked him was he gonna abolish ICE. He's more animated that the dude asked him, do they want to abolish ICE, than he is about any issue pertaining to black people. So, and he'll try to say, I'm a black dude. No, you're a Zionist buck broken buffoon.
People not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight right now. That's the whole reason the DHS is getting ready to shut down. That's
So
the whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
You agree with me, Joy? Abolish ICE.
That is listen. I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use. And the language that I'm using right now relates to these type of bold, meaningful, dramatic changes that are designed to save lives right now in communities that look like the ones that I represent. And that's the goal.
So let me
In
ask you
this
this.
fight.
Yeah. And I hear what you're
Holding
saying.
every
that-
single Democrat
Mhm.
together in the House and in the Senate is what we're trying to do to give us the best shot to win this fight right now while we're in the minority.
My question, though, is more about, if, let's say, Democrats do get back the majority, I think some of what people are looking for are, what is your project 2027, right? What will Democrats put on the table to say, give us power and we'll do X? What is on that list? Because I think if you give us power, we'll abolish ICE was on that list, people would be incredibly enthusiastic about that. If you said, right now we're going to rein them in, but give us the power, we will get rid of this agency. Is that something that Democrats are willing to coalesce around, saying we will just end it, period?
I think for the last 14 months, we've continued to win elections, and we've won elections for a wide variety of reasons, including in deep red places.
She asked him, if the Democrats get in power, are they going to abolish ICE? And he goes into this harangue, oh, we're going to continue to win elections. Bro, she's asking you, are you going to abolish ICE? And this is what's so pathetic and grotesque about these politicians. You ask them a simple yes or no question, and then they go into this rambling response. And oftentimes, if you want to get them invited back on your show, you have to just let them ramble and say, okay, thank you for coming on my show. But bro, you didn't even answer the question. These are supposed to be the high IQs.
What is on that list? Because I think if you give us power, we'll abolish ICE was on that list, people would be incredibly enthusiastic about that. If you said, right now we're going to rein them in, but give us the power, we will get rid of this agency. Is that something that Democrats are willing to coalesce around, saying we will just end it, period?
I think for the last 14 months, we've continued to win elections, and we've won elections for a wide variety of reasons, including in deep red places like Louisiana, Florida, and Texas, as has been the case most recently, as well as in blue states or purple states like New York, like Virginia.
Here we go again with the word pasta, and Dirty Money says the majority wants ICE. Yes, a lot of people support the deportations. They just want it done. As I've said a litany of times, they want the deportations done in a more cuter, sanitized, cuddlier fashion. But they do want the deportation. So even if they abolish ICE, people will still be expecting deportations. So what? She wants them to abolish ICE and DHS and INS? Okay, fine. We abolish all those agencies. So then what? No one gets deported. People just keep flooding the country. And I will say, I do think too much is made of the border, because what happens is the border is to take your eyes off of the bigger picture. So what Biden did was he flooded the border with millions and millions of people, but he also was flying in millions and at the very least hundreds of thousands. So while you were focused on the border, he's flying people in and then dropping them off in, guess what? A black neighborhood. All of these bleeding heart liberals and even the rhinos who say we're a nation of immigrants. Okay, fine. Since you think we're a nation of immigrants, we'll dump these hardworking model minority immigrants in your neighborhood. Then suddenly, no, I'm a NIMBY, not in my backyard, but I thought you loved immigrants and they're the best thing since sliced bread. So surely you should have no issue They work so hard, right? Let them work hard and build up your community. So they want these immigrants that work so hard, just not by me. Yeah, go over there with the niggas. It's like, I thought you said those neighborhoods were poor. Oh, don't worry. We have NGOs and blank checks to write and goodies, giveaways, and grants to give them. This is all documented as well. So I'm about to get ready to shut her down soon because I gotta get up out of here. But I appreciate everyone who's been here watching live and that will be viewing this on the replay.
Single Democrat together in the House and in the Senate is what we're trying to do to give us the best shot to win this fight right now while we're in the minority.
My question, though, is more about, if, let's say, Democrats do get back the majority, I think some of what people are looking for are, what is your project 2027, right? What will Democrats put on the table to say, give us power and we'll do X? What is on that list? Because I think if you give us power, we'll abolish ICE was on that list, people would be incredibly enthusiastic about that. If you said, right now we're going to rein them in, but give us the power, we will get rid of this agency. Is that something that Democrats are willing to coalesce around, saying we will just end it, period?
I think for the last 14 months, we've continued to win elections, and we've won elections for a wide variety of reasons, including in deep red places like Louisiana, Florida, and Texas, as has been the case most recently, as well as in blue states. And the American people, I believe, want to see two things: an aggressive affordability agenda. How do we drive down the high cost of living, as the mayor of New York City is trying to do, as the governor of New Jersey?
Look at all these buzzwords. Every president says this, especially the Democrats. We're going to drive down the high cost of living. How? And like, what does that even mean? Right? The average, if you even want to rent, I'm in California. If you even want to rent in California, most places start around 3,500 to 5,500. Hakeem Jeffries, how are you going to bring that cost down? All of these buzzwords, but they don't really say what they're going to do. Remember Zohran Mamdani? He had all of these grandiose things that he was going to do. And the delusions of grandeur had people saying, yes, we need a new face. Okay, you got a new face in Zohran Mamdani. And now he's saying he's going to have to raise taxes. What happened to those free buses? No, instead, the fares on the buses have raised. So not only did he lie or exaggerate about the free buses, now the free buses have turned into an even more expensive bus. And he's saying if Kathy Hochul doesn't sign off on a billionaire wealth tax, which she isn't going to, she's already made that clear, he's going to have to raise taxes on the citizens. And I know a lot of people are saying, see, this is what you get. Socialism. That's not socialism. Him raising taxes is not socialism. You can call it something else, but raising taxes, that's not socialism.
He is trying to do, as the governor of Virginia are trying to do. And at the same time, of course, we have a responsibility to make sure that single Democrat together in the House and in the Senate is what we're trying to do to give us the best shot to win this fight right now while we're in the minority.
My question, though, is more about, if, let's say, Democrats do get back the majority, I think some of what people are looking for are, what is your project 2027, right? What will Democrats put on the table to say, give us power and we'll do X? What is on that list? Because I think if you give us power, we'll abolish ICE was on that list, people would be incredibly enthusiastic about that. If you said, right now we're going to rein them in, but give us the power, we will get rid of this agency.
That's not an issue for me. That's a kitchen table issue. Man, I'll vote for the Dems if they commit to abolishing ICE. Huh? How? Okay, fine. They abolished ICE. How does that help you afford a house? How does that help interest rates? How does that help with gas prices? How does that help with insurance rates? How does that help you get health care? They abolished ICE. So now I'm clicking my heels and I'm happy because that's not a kitchen table issue for me, especially if you're a citizen under no threat of deportations. Yes, you should probably care. Think about your neighbors. Well, my neighbor isn't an immigrant, right? So like, what are we saying? Look, I don't want to see anyone mistreated if they're a citizen or non-citizen, but to pretend as if people are struggling here with their life and their number one focus should be trans bathrooms and abolishing ICE. Okay, good luck with that, Democrats.
Is that something that Democrats are willing to coalesce around, saying we will just end it, period?
I think for the last 14 months, we've continued to win elections, and we've won elections for a wide variety of reasons, including in deep red places like Louisiana, Florida, and Texas, as has been the case most recently, as well as in blue states or purple states like New York, like Virginia, and like New Jersey. And the American people, I believe, want to see two things: an aggressive affordability agenda. How do we drive down the high cost of living, as the mayor of New York City is trying to do, as the governor of New Jersey is trying to do, as the governor of Virginia are trying to do? And at the same time, of course, we have a responsibility to make sure that we are holding the wrongdoers accountable in every possible way. And of course, that effort is going to be led by a chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin, a chair of the Oversight Committee, like Robert Garcia, a chair of the Homeland Security Committee, like Benny Thompson. And we, of course, are prepared to do it in the way that we have always been when it comes to exposing the extremism on the other side and making sure that
all he did was just name drop this politician, that politician, and yeah, we're going to expose and this is what we're going to do, but he hasn't said exactly what we're going to do. This is just vote for me. Here's some names of Democrats that you should support and vote for. We're not really going to do anything for you, but we're better than the big, bad, mean Republicans. So vote for us. That's this translation of what he's saying. If you think I'm gaslighting, then what did he really say? What policy is he running on? We're gonna make things more affordable. We're gonna rein in the ICE terrorists. Huh? Like, where are the specifics? All of this vague, nebulous, nothing burger babble. Like, what could you really take from this, right? If you went to your neighbor and said, hey, I'm a vote for Hakeem Jeffries. Why? Because he said he's gonna work on our affordability crisis and rein in ICE. How? I don't know, but he's gonna do it. Okay.
living, as the mayor of New York City is trying to do, as the governor of New Jersey is trying to do, as the governor of Virginia are trying to do. And at the same time, of course, we have a responsibility to make sure that we are holding the wrongdoers accountable in every possible way. And of course, that effort is going to be led by a chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin, a chair of the Oversight Committee, like Robert Garcia, a chair of the Homeland Security Committee, like Benny Thompson. And we, of course, are prepared to do it in the way that we have always been when it comes to exposing the extremism on the other side and making sure that these people understand they're not just going to be able to behave with impunity now and think they're going to be no consequences moving forward.
Work today is broken. Every day.
Okay, so what are the consequences, right? More vague, vapid nothingness. These people are not going to just be able to behave with impunity. They will receive punishment. What's the punishment? No, seriously, what is the punishment? Fine. You say that you are going to bring down the hammer. What type of punishment will be doled out to these people? Just vote for me and see.
A chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin, a chair of the Oversight Committee, like Robert Garcia, a chair of the Homeland Security Committee, like Benny Thompson. And we, of course, are prepared to do it in the way that we have always been when it comes to exposing the extremism on the other side and making sure that these people understand they're not just going to be able to behave with impunity now and think they're going to be no consequences moving forward.
We have, I think we were out of time with you, but I have one last question. Waj, do you have one last question? I have one last question. Do you? Because I want to make sure that we
Well, I
get our
do have
next
one
guest
question
on.
about accountability, and I'll put my cards on the table. I'm against fascists and MAGA and Donald Trump, and I want Democrats to win, but I want the right Democrats to win. And I remember the YouGov poll that came out after the 2024 election said the main reason why Democrats stayed at home was their displeasure with the genocide that's happening in Gaza. And what we've seen is AIPAC. AIPAC now has spent $2 million attacking a moderate-leaning Democrat, Tom Malinowski, a Democrat, in the special House election in New Jersey 11th District. And we got a progressive Latina, Representative Mejia, who won, who, by the way, says abolish ICE. My question for you, if you're looking for accountability, if you're looking for change, shouldn't Democrats stop taking money from AIPAC that has spent so much money against Democrats?
Well, listen, everyone's going to have to make their individual decision. My view as it relates to Democratic incumbents, first of all, is that I will continue to stand by every single one of them, whether that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the one hand, or the most conservative, moderate Democrat on the other, who's sitting in the Trump district and at all points in between, right? That's what I'm going to do as House Democratic leader. Now, in terms of how people individually fundraise, I'm proud of the fact that my average contribution amongst the millions of dollars that I've been working hard to raise for my own reelection that I use to help elect Democrats in other parts of the country is $27 per contributor. That's my average contribution. That's probably the lowest in the Congress. And so now everyone is going to raise money from their own constituents in different ways, and their own constituents are going to have a variety of different perspectives on a variety of different issues. But make no mistake, there's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans, and we're seeing that right now. I know some people like to project otherwise. How one can see the horrors of what has been inflicted on the American people since January 20th of last year and conclude otherwise, or want to try to suggest that there's no difference in one's quality of life. When I go to bed,
There is no difference. To me, there is no difference. I get it, right? People think that, oh, what country are we living in? We're living in the same country that you were living in under Biden, under Clinton, under Obama, under Bush. Nothing is happening that hasn't happened before. Yes, there's more controversial things that are happening in a theatrical manner, but all of these things have always been happening. American citizens under attack, them flooding particular neighborhoods with immigrants, them police brutality. Police brutality is still going on. Redlining is still going on. Denial of loans is still going on. The injustice system where a black person gets on average 20% more time for the same crime as his non-black counterparts, that's still going on. But hey, everyone, let's focus on ICE and abolishing ICE because that's the most pressing issue. And then even this person where they said this YouGov poll, which I don't know who they polled, where they said that the number one issue that sank the Democrats was the genocide in Gaza. But then when they checked other polling, that was maybe fourth or fifth on the list. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, but to pretend as if some foreign issue is your main kitchen table issue. So you're about to vote, right? Your gas is high, your PG&E is high, your insurance rates are high, and you go to the voting poll and say, man, it really sucks what's happening in Gaza. That's why I'm voting for X, Y, and Z. Right? Maybe it's in the back of your mind, but there's no one I talked to where that was at the front of their mind because we're in America, right? You voting didn't change anything, right? People said, all right, I'm a vote for third party to stop the genocide. Did that stop the genocide? I'm a vote for Kamala to stop the genocide. Did that stop the genocide? I'm a vote for Trump because he's going to stop the genocide on day one. Did that stop the genocide? So now no genocide has been stopped and you still can't afford a home. Your gas prices are high. Your insurance rate, you can't afford to go to the dentist. You don't have no health care. But hey, if we just stand up for what? More foreign issues, then suddenly that will help us here. Yeah, we need to take care of home first and then put our energy and efforts to things that are happening abroad. But some people think that we can just do this stuff all at the same time. So if you can do it all at the same time, why are you only mentioning Gaza then? Why aren't you mentioning Gaza and Congo and the Sudan, right? There's multiple countries that some would say are doing worse than Gaza. So fine, if you want me to take my eye off the American prize and look abroad. Okay, fine. If I'm looking abroad, I'm not going to be looking at Gaza first. I'm going to be looking at Sudan. I'm going to be looking at the Congo. I'm going to be looking at the Sahel region. Not to say that I'm against what's happening. That I'm for what's happening in Gaza, but they have a litany of support. They have people going up on the UN, standing up for them. Should they have more support? Yes, and I would champion that. But they at least have support. What people are going up in the UN and standing up for Sudan? What people are going up in the UN and standing up for Congo? So since they don't have that same level of support, while y'all crashing out for Gaza and Ukraine, I need to crash out for some other countries that are marginalized and overlooked, right? Isn't that what this is about? Right? Because we can't focus on America first. We have to focus on the globe. Fine. When I'm focusing on the globe, I'm starting with Congo and the Sudan. Nobody is talking about that because they convince you only focus on Gaza, only focus on Gaza. Well, that's not the only place that a genocide is going on. And then they say, oh, but our taxpayer dollars. So we should only care about things that our taxpayer dollars are going to. If that's the case, then just say it plainly with your chest. Like, it's horrible what's happening in Gaza. I think the genocide should end. I think there should be a Marshall Plan to rebuild it. They should be paid reparations, right? I support all that stuff. But to pretend as if that's going to be my number one issue when I'm talking to my local politician, right? And our schools are failing here, but my number one issue is going to be what's happening in Gaza, which all of these people's vote, it hasn't changed anything. Whoever you voted for hasn't changed. In fact, it's only gotten worse. So is voting really going to be your panacea, or is it going to be something else?
Of what has been inflicted on the American people since January 20th of last year, and conclude otherwise, or want to try to suggest that there's no difference in one's quality of life. When I go to Bedford-Stuyvesant or Brownsville or East New York or Canarsie or the West End of Coney Island, people know that their life is being made markedly worse because of who's in office right now, both in the White House and the House.
Well, Representative, respectfully,
and we're determined to do something about
just
that.
Just a quick follow-up. So that means, will you stop taking money from AIPAC?
I'm going to continue to raise money in the same way that I've been raising it, where the average contribution from millions of people.
Just say no. And see, this is where it gets cowardly. He asked him a simple question. Are you going to stop taking money from AIPAC? I'm going to continue to raise money the way I've been raising. That's not what he asked you. He asked you, are you going to stop taking money from AIPAC? Since the answer is no, just say no. He's dancing around the question to say no, he's not going to stop taking money. That's fine. Just stop lying about it, bruh. We don't need this word pasta.
Yes, that there's no difference in one's quality of life. When I go to Bedford-Stuyvesant or Brownsville or East New York or Canarsie or the West End of Coney Island, people know that their life is being made markedly worse because of who's in office right now, both in the White House and the House.
Well, Representative, respectfully,
and we're determined to do something about that.
Just a quick follow-up. So that means, will you stop taking money from AIPAC?
I'm going to continue to raise money in the same way that I've been raising it, where the average contribution from millions of people across the country is $27 per contributor.
Want to sell your house with no agents, no fees, no commissions, just cash in hand? Get a no obligation.
We are out of time. I had more questions, but we have to get our next guest on. Thank you so much, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Please come back because I have some more questions about gerrymandering and about the November election protection, but I have kept our next guest waiting too long. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. And like I said, that's the stream. I won't be here for a long time, but a strong time. So what do y'all think? Did Hakeem Jeffries convinced y'all to vote blue no matter who? Or is this just more of the same? Democratic drivel, aimless drivel at that. And salute to everyone's in the chat. And like Jackie Gaines says, hit that like button. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. And Dee Dee says Trump removed the legacy of Medgar Evers from the Arlington Cemetery websites because of DEI, and he was a World War II veteran. And this is what I'm saying. Much of the MAGA maniacs, when they're over here removing black stuff, they're saying that's DEI. Like, hold on, did you ever serve? Did you ever join the military and fight, bleed, and die for this country? No, you didn't. So why would you want someone who did that, who fought for your freedoms, removed under the name of DEI? And this is what's so cowardly about many in the white community. They are the ones who created DEI. They are the ones who created affirmative action. White people mainly benefit from DEI. White people mainly benefit from affirmative action. And they demonized it and made black people the mascots of something that they created. The only reason why DEI needed to be created is because you guys were being discriminatory towards black people and other people, but predominantly black people. So these were programs that were supposed to rectify the injustice that you did. And instead, all you did was to create a program to further enrich white people. So I really don't get why any white people have a problem with DEI when they were the sole beneficiaries. They're against affirmative action, sole beneficiaries. You're the welfare queen. Actually, it's more white women getting welfare. Welfare was created for white women. DEI was created for everybody, but it mainly benefits white people. So I really don't get why some people in this community starts railing against anything that has to do with black people. It's DEI. Have you ever fought and bled and died for the country? I didn't think so. So just go ahead and shut up. And shout out to Roger Meadows. I'm actually about to shut down. Maybe I'll come back later. But salute to you for coming through. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. Trump also disrespected the military service of John McCain, a Vietnam veteran. Now, I wasn't a fan of John McCain because John McCain wasn't a fan of black people. However, his service shouldn't have been disrespected. He was a veteran. He was a prisoner of war. Trump can't say that. 24% of blacks get EBT, 8% of whites get EBT, 15 million whites, 10 million blacks. So this is the whole thing where they like to say, but per capita. So what they try to say is they want to convince you that somehow 10 million is a bigger number than 15 million. So here comes the per capita. Well, technically, if you look at the percentages, the black community is a smaller population. So they use it at a higher rate. So they start focusing on the rate. And this is why dial-up is trying to put up these percentages versus the raw numbers. Forget the percentages. What are the raw numbers? 15 million whites are on there. And the 10 million alleged blacks, most of them are from an immigrant background, right? So we're just all just lumped together. But you guys have all of these stereotypical tropes about black people, right? So we know why black people, y'all say that we're low IQ, lazy, and grew up in fatherless homes. That makes sense why we're on welfare. It doesn't make sense why 15 million whites are on welfare. Could you explain that, dial up? Because you're putting this as a gotcha. Look, but per capita. Yeah, forget per capita. Why are 15 million whites? And I think this number is even higher than that. But why are 15 million whites on welfare at all? You guys are supposed to be the high IQ, benevolent angels. Yet you guys are on welfare to the tune of millions and millions. Okay. And dial up, you always come in with some kind of bigoted stuff. They lie with stats so blacks are more per capita. Did I call it or did I call it? But per capita. So he's saying they lie with stats, but all of the negative stats about black people. Yeah, that's true. The negative stats about white people, they're lying. Who was they? It's your community in charge of the stats. So you see how they try to use per capita when they believe it's advantageous to them, but they don't want to use raw numbers. The raw numbers say that your community is the leading welfare recipient. Not only that, welfare was created for white people. Embrace it. You are the true welfare queens. It's nothing wrong with needing help. The only issue is that they framed people on welfare to be the low IQ, lazy black. So now people think getting welfare is such a bad thing. Well, if it's a bad thing, why was it created for white women? It was created for your community. They weren't telling white women to pull themselves up by the bootstrap. They said, here's welfare for your women. And there's still more white people on. What's the excuse? Y'all make all sort of excuses. Y'all grew up without a father in y'all home and y'all lazy and dumb. So that's why y'all on welfare. Okay, fine. But you said you grew up with your father. You had a silver spoon. You had all of the advantages. You had all of the privileges. So why are your people on welfare again? Right? We have a rationale for why the black people are on there. What's the rationale for your people? Are the whites that are on welfare lazy and low IQ and pathetic? Or is that those stereotypical tropes only reserved for certain demographics? And thank you so much, Jackie. So I'm going to get ready to shut her down because I really do got to get up out of here. So let me just hit y'all like this. Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy, that dude, shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I rock up on them with the 40 ounces. It's the definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your pit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Goku. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God, it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shite racket and fly back out to Millwall. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy, that dude. B-Eazy, that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy, that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy, that dude. Yeah, they know the name. B-Eazy, that dude.
You love me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.